Hello everyone, hope you are all fine and well. Welcome to my presentation. My name is João Pinto. I am a master's student in Music Industry Management and Artist Development at the University of West London. And today I will introduce you to my recent research and pilot study for my dissertation, Signed or Independent Musicians. And it's with a pleasure that I present you the structure of my presentation. First, I will explain you why I have chosen this topic, then I will survey the existing literature. After that, I will introduce the methodology that I used for my pilot study, explain the reasons, and correlate it with my larger study. Finally, I will provide the initial findings for this pilot study and show the impact that it can have on future researches. Finally, I will end up with giving a brief description of the bibliography that I used. I choose this topic because I'm really interested in understanding more about the companies that work directly with an artist and see how they are adapting through digitalization. Nowadays, it's easier for an artist to do the do-it-yourself approach due to the technologies. So I want to understand the pros and the cons of working directly with a company and the variables that could influence this relationship. By that, and because this is a pilot study, I will only focus my study in artist management companies. Therefore, the research question is beneficial for a musician to work directly with a management company? To understand the existing literature about this topic, I will deconstruct the research question and analyze it accordingly. So, first of all, it is essential to understand that exists many different types of intermediaries that can help the artist achieve success, and those can be a tourneur, as the person that do the organization of the concerts, the agent that promotes and organize and manage the concerts, and finally the manager, who has the more complex tasks that can involve building the artist's career by prospecting partnerships and coordinating the relationships between the artist and every party, like a record label, a publisher, a venue owner, a radio station, etc. Gaudassi said that a music artist manager needs to know exactly how the industry works and know how to convert creativity into a product with economic value to be exploited in the market. The job description of this role is mainly to be the intermediary between the artist and the audience by setting up the best strategies, practices, and processes in order to maximize the impact on the public. It is particularly important to understand as well that it can be diverse ways of manage an artist. A manager can work directly with an artist by being a freelancer or by being part of a company, where they provide consultancy for the artist by managing their careers and doing the communication support with every party. Some management companies do the work of booking as well, and by that they execute the booking of concerts with the venues. According to that, working directly with a management company might not make sense to every artist, depending on their will, but most importantly, depending on which stage of the career the artist is. So in 2030, Sounds Next Big Sounds conducted a research study entitled Mapping the Landscape, 5 Stages of Artist Development. To define those stages, this study focused on establishing data from social media, sales, chart positions, television appearances, and record label affiliations. However, to update this study, Terry Tomkins in 2019 developed a new set of phases having in mind 6 criteria: touring, streaming, social media, professional artist team, record label or a music publisher, and brand partnerships. And having those criteria in mind, the author created 6 new phases. The first phase is the undiscovered act. By that, is an artist with little or no previous track record of success, no tour history, low streaming and social numbers, and no team and no record label. The second phase is the developing act, which represents an artist that is already signed with a record label, has already a regional touring base established, has already a booking agent on their team, and have already a good social presences, but can be a self-managed or have a managed on their team. The third phase is the mid-level act, that is an artist with the various releases with a major or with an indie label that does concerts and in venues with a maximum of 3,500 capacity, and it is already known by the industry and by the fans. The Phase 4 established act is an artist with a fully developed fan base with multiple successful releases and is already touring in several territories in a large venue. The Stage 5, it's a superstar act, which represents an artist that is already established in many worldwide territories with platinum records and worldwide tours with a major label, and with a large sources of income coming from the merchandising and the branding. Finally, we have the Heritage Act, which is an which can represent an artist with a long established fan base, but don't need to have a label or any manager company, because it can be already a self-administrator, because the streaming and the social media are already good and they are capable of touring in large arenas. Having those phases in mind, I will answer to the research question and explain the pros and the cons of working directly with a management company. By that, I will use a case study. A case study research was classified by Stake as the investigation and analysis of a single or a collective case with the intention of capture the complexity of an object of study. This qualitative approach explores the real life towards the details with multiple sources of information. I decided to choose this method because it constitutes a good way of understanding this topic. By that, I will analyze a Portuguese musician that has passed through all of those artist development stages and recently has made an interesting decision regarding the companies that she worked for. Ana Moura. Ana Moura was born in 2079, considered as the most successful and award-winning fado singer in 21st century by selling more than 1 million records worldwide. She is a Portuguese fado singer. Fado is considered a musical style that most represents the Portugal cultural by their melancholy and existentialism of the Portuguese people. It has been part of the cultural country for over 200 years, and it was already classified as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO in 2011. So, Ana Moura is owner of a singular voice and a magnetic presence on stage that was already admired by Prince, Gilberto Gil, the Rolling Stones, and Caetano Veloso. Ana Moura released her first album in 2003 with Universal Music Portugal, and since that year that the artist was signed with that label. At the same time, since 2009, that the artist was working directly with a management and booking company called Sons em Trânsito, which is a company dedicated to agency, production of shows, and management of artistic careers. This company is a reference of quality and prestige, and not only in Portugal, but already in the international level. So it was because of Ana Moura's talent that she was able to work directly with those two biggest companies in Portugal music industry. So in the last years, Ana Moura was doing international touring and national as well, which made her stop recording albums for 6 years. And it was 2 years ago that everything changed, in 2019. It was on the process of recording a new album that Ana Moura realized that she was recording something that she didn't identify with, and that provoked her a feeling of sadness. At a certain point, she went to the bathroom and started to sing a very old sad fado song, and that was the moment that created the shift in her life. She understood that she was forgetful of herself. So, during the first COVID-19 lockdown, she invited two producers to her home and they created a new album based on truth and innovation. After finishing, they shared the results to the label and to the management team. However, the feedback was not positive, and that caused Ana Moura anxiety. So she stopped for 5 days and thought, okay, this is not what I believe in what I'm doing, and I will keep going. And it was on this moment that Ana Moura decides to become an independent artist. The artists argue that when you are successful, they want to force us into a corner. They tell us you are this, and that can be a prison. I want to find my way to feel free as possible, and that my new work would reflect all the different rooms in my house. By that, the artists have spent 1 year and a half choosing a new team to be part of our company. The goal was simply to be part of a fluid team which could be a really good help to raise our ideas, ending with the more and more obsolete structures of management and labels. The artist explained that she felt the need of follow a more direct path towards the public, exploring some innovative ways. She argued that technology created very much possibilities to do a good relationship between the artist and the public through digital platforms. Consequently, the public now have a more active role in the artist's career by having these means. Therefore, Ana Moura feels that it is important to innovate in this area by sharing the creative process and by getting with new tools to the public, namely the NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Besides the innovation part, Miguel Carvalho and Paul Marques, two of the members that constitutes our new team, provided some more information about the management and the copyright side of the business, saying that Ana Moura holds the rights of the masters that she produced herself, with the musicians, authors, and producers she chooses to work with. Paulo Marx ensures that, as far as the international management of the artist, everything will be maintained. The changes, he points out, it will be just in aesthetic level, resulting from the new band she intends to work with, which will even allow her to give new clothes to their old songs. With this new musical approach, Paul Marx believes that it will be possible to reach the posters of the most important national and international festivals, and it will possible as well to maintain the international agents that Ana Moura already worked over those years. But most importantly, it will be possible to achieve new partnerships and have Ana Moura as a brand. So today, Ana Moura already have released her first single independently, which has more than 1 million views on YouTube and more than 500,000 streams on Spotify in just 1 month. It achieved the 3rd position in Apple Music charts in Portugal and the 14th position on YouTube Portugal. Those numbers in Portugal reality are really good, given the fact that we are 11 million citizens. So, after explaining the Ana Moura situation, it is possible to relate this with my research question and consequently with the literature review. Relating this with the 6 stages of artist development, Ana Moura passed through the Superstar Act phase to the Heritage Act phase when she decided to start the process of independence. She could only become this successful independent artist because she was already in the stage 5, with a stable worldwide fan base and with a significant source of income coming from her long stable career. And it was all possible to achieve because she was working directly with those 2 big companies, Universal Music Portugal and Sons em Trânsito. The reasons why the artist decided to become independent was creative control and innovation. Bain, in 2009 and 2005, said that the artist not producing what the client wants is following a heroic self-narrative, and it fits Ana Moura completely. She ended up with a contract as well due to the mentality of those companies that might not are going to embrace the new digital era as Ana Moura wants, because Ana Moura already have many innovative ideas to get more direct control with the public. Garan and other authors in 2004 created a model that shows the traditional model of distribution is being threatened by the new digital era by lowering the entry levels and creating a direct channel between the artist and the consumer. And that is exactly what Ana Moura is trying to do by becoming independent. We all know that Jay-Z was the most important example when talking about independence, because he considered himself as a brand. Rather than waiting to sign with a major record label, Jay-Z created his own independent label and started his own business by becoming an entrepreneur. However, it can be quite easy to fall in failure when talking about this independent course if the artist doesn't work directly with the best professionals that the artist identifies with. So, relating this pilot study with my larger study, I plan to develop and understand how the artist management companies worked and how they are and what they do to work differently and what they can do to work differently with the artists. I will use a qualitative study using interviews combined with secondary data of previous researches about this topic. This pilot study have helped me a lot to understand that when an artist gets to a certain point in their careers, becoming independent can be a path, and that can happen because maybe artist management companies need to make a shift in their mentality through digital transformations. And that's what I want to understand in my larger study. What those intermediaries can do differently to keep these artists of going away of these companies. Here is the bibliography that I used to achieve this pilot study. I used 6 peer-reviewed articles and then podcasts, interviews, and newspaper articles. So, I hope you all enjoy my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions that you have, so feel free to do it. Have a good day.